between 1812 and 1914 with foreign countries because we minded our own business. And now we go around the world doing all of this stuff, nation building, and trying to do regime change in other countries. What country wants its regime changed? No wonder we have enemies. No wonder we have people organizing to kill us. Why? Because we're creating enemies. We are. We're doing it. I mean, a lot of the people who are our biggest enemies, we put in business. Khomeini, Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, all of these people were on our payroll at one time or another because we wanted them to go after our enemies. And sometimes the enemies of our enemies are not our friends. And we think we understand all these intrigues in the Middle East. So we back thugs against dictators or dictators against thugs. And sooner or later, they turn around and bite us. Well, what a surprise. We need to stop hitting the hornet's nest, especially if that hornet's nest is in a different country and they've got no beef with us. But we continue to meddle and mess around in these other countries, flying drones into these countries by some statistics, killing 19 or 20 civilians for every one terrorist we hit with these unmanned drones. Nobody likes that in their country. Even our friends, even our allies don't like that in their country. So what we have to do is we have to make America safer. And to make America safer doesn't mean to meddle more. We need to make sure that we're safe from foreign missiles. We need to make sure that we have a good Coast Guard. We need to make sure that our borders are well patrolled. We need to make sure that we can put down insurrections in our country. We need to make sure that if violence breaks out, we can take care of that. And we can. And we can do it for a fraction of the cost. And we would be safer. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, both in famous speeches, warned us against entangling alliances in the old world. Because you make friends with a country, they get attacked, next thing you're at war. It's a terrible thing. So we need to cut those three things, Social Security, Medicare, and the military. And we need to do it intelligently so that we remain safe and take care of our elderly people, take care of their medical needs, especially those that need it. So let's keep America safe, let's take care of our elderly, and let's stop spending money that we don't have. And even if we had it, it doesn't help us. So to review, let's go back to the payroll tax. If we cut the payroll tax or leave it at a lower level, we encourage employers to hire. Unemployment came down from 9.7 to 7.7% during the time of the payroll tax cut. It's good for employers. It's good for employees. We need to keep the cost of hiring someone low. We don't want to penalize people for putting Americans to work, because then we just have to carry the burden of welfare and endless unemployment insurance. We want to make sure that people can actually work. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we have added 4 million of a certain kind of job between 2005 and 2010, and those are jobs not covered by unemployment insurance. And we've lost 4.5 million jobs during the same period that are called payroll jobs. Those are the kinds of jobs that where the employee pays payroll tax and the employer also. So basically what we've done is we've disincentivized people to hire people. We've disincentivized work, and we've created an environment which is very conducive to outsourcing, which nobody wants to see. We lose jobs that way. So what we've done is we've made it harder to hire people, harder to work, easier to outsource, and easier to hire a contract employee rather than a traditional employee who's going to be paying payroll tax. So what we have to do is we have to make it easier for people to hire people, and the best way to do that is to lower the tax burden so that people can get put back to work. We're doing everything backwards. We're disincentivizing the rich, 400,000 and up, by telling them, hey, if you make more money, it goes to the government, and they're going to get cynical, and with a press of a button, that money is going to disappear from the United States, which is really easy to do right now. You can't tax money that disappears. If you try to soak the rich, they are not going to stay around for the bath. And what we're doing is we're hurting the rich and the poor. We're disincentivizing the wrong parts of the economy. The middle class is always going to work. And the people that are the richest and the poorest now, we're disincentivizing hiring of the poorest, and more ending up on welfare and assistance and unemployment and food stamps. And we're disincentivizing the rich, who are the ones who hire in the first place. And we're protecting the people in the middle. We shouldn't be protecting anyone. We need to lower taxes on everyone. The only way to do that is for the government to spend less time encroaching on our lives. The job of government is to govern. It's not to provide health care. It's not to educate. It's not to make us better people. It's not to make sure we go to school. The job of government is to protect the country, provide courts where we can agree and disagree on things and settle our disputes, to have legislatures which make sure that the Constitution is upheld and that our rights are preserved. That's the job of government. You wouldn't want to put grocery companies in charge of hospitals. You wouldn't want to put farmers in charge of tire factories. You want to put the right people in charge of the right thing. Government has grown beyond its banks. It's like the Mississippi flooding and taking over all of our lives, and then asking for more and more money to do those things with central planning. And central planning is never as efficient as the free market. The free market always brings the most resources to the most energy. And government is never the place with the most energy and the most ability to decide what to do. So here's the bottom line on this. We need to look at what has happened with this fiscal cliff thing and be intelligent and educate ourselves and look at the statistics. And when they say it's a 2% raise from 4.2 to 6.2, we need to understand that that's really a delta of 47.6 or 7%. That's huge. We are burdening, we're laying the burden of our debt on our hardest working, poorest workers. Why would we do that? Well, because we really don't know what we're doing. We need to lower taxes on everyone. We need to grow the private sector. We need to grow this country. We need to trust that a free society is the best society. We need to roll back government. We need to start questioning things. Do we really want the government in charge of all of our lives? Do we really want to send welfare checks, in effect, to tens of millions of multimillionaire retirees? Do we really want to be the world's policeman? Do we really want 800 to 1,000 bases on foreign soil where people resent us and we start making enemies all around the world? America is not popular out there. And there's good reason for that. We don't mind our own business. This is something we learned in kindergarten. We can't begin to understand the problems other countries have. Can you imagine if in the middle of Gettysburg, in the middle of our Civil War, the foreign countries intervened to try to do nation building? It would have been a disaster. It was a bad enough situation for our own country. We had to slug that out for ourselves. We had to figure out what was wrong with our country. We had to wrestle with our own demons of slavery and racism and sectionalism and all the things we had going on, and we had to fight it out. And I'm so glad that Britain or France or one of the other powers didn't come in and try to meddle. We'd resent them to this day if they did. But we want to do the same thing in Syria and in Iraq and in all these countries. We want to make sure that they do it the way we would have them do it. And we leave smoking craters wherever we go. And we go to war without declaring war. We just sort of have this permanent sense of war out there. It needs to end, and it can end. It's a matter of common sense. When you read the news and you see this fiscal cliff stuff, pay attention to what's really happening. We really can make a difference. We really can dare to be a free society. We can be a society where people don't coerce money from us, where we give freely, where we take care of each other, where we solve our big problems. And the best way to solve these problems is not through central planning. It's through a society of free people. Well, that's all for today on Life and Liberty Radio. Thanks so much for sharing this part of your spiritual journey with me. Now, the views on this program are not necessarily those of my advertisers, sponsors, places I work, or do business with. They're purely my own, but I'm sharing them with you, so share your ideas with me. Write me on Twitter at Liberty House, LIBERTYHOUS, no E. Until next time, let's continue dreaming and working for a free and spiritually grounded society.